Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining us for our live tarot session today, September 28th, 2024. It's a beautiful day and a wonderful evening. Let's give a shout out to the chat. Good to see you, Lisa. Valerie, much love. Hollerhaint, good evening. The Coastmaster, great to see you. Gandhi, good to see you. Kari, much love. Taffney, Taz, great to see you. Daphne, Raptor Seer, much love. Geronimo, great to see you. Thank you guys for joining first thing bright and early. It's always wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about the astrology. Oh, hey Geo, glad you made it. Beautiful. So we're still in this moon in Leo. Moon in Leo is intense, fiery, passionate energy. It's that energy of wanting to be jubilant and to be bursting with joy and to just set the world ablaze. It's that engaging and fun and playful energy, but we also have to recognize we'll be sensitive and we'll be prideful and we'll be open to defending the things that we hold to such high, passionate esteem. And we're balancing that energy with this sun in Libra, which is really powerful, beautiful energy. It's that energy of striving for balance, of communicating in flow, and of going towards and creating beauty. So combining that fiery Leo with the Libra, it's a really powerful moment. You can really balance and control that fire and be still this passionate, powerful person who has the courage to move and do what inspires them. So take advantage, be happy, be joyful, go out and be with your friends and embrace the moment. It's wonderful. And when I was meditating this morning and I was looking at my cards, I had drawn the Lovers. Such a beautiful, beautiful energy, right? The Lovers is that alchemical wedding. It's that grandiose vision of love. It's that love that strives for knowing and knowledge, where two become one in that ultimate consummation. And then the result is creation, loving creation, artistic creation, right? And it's on that transcendent level of going through the path, being realized through that loving engagement, right? It's that ecstatic experience. It's about looking into the nature and seeing yourself reflected in the other. And then moving beyond that other and truly seeing them, right? And recognizing both our absolute individuality and our absolute interconnection, right? The power of something like love is that magic that transcends everything, right? It pushes you to accept someone in their totality and all of their faults, right? True love, you do not reduce a person to the ideal, but rather you experience them and you taste them and you accept it and you learn to love all of it and embrace all of it, right? And then you are transformed through that acceptance. And together you become something greater. You meld your perspectives, right? And you can give birth to creation, to new life, to new art, right? Pure, true magic at its finest, the Lovers. And that's the message. Pursue love, pursue creation of that highest attainment. Pursue beauty and see yourself reflected in the other and recognize the beauty in them. And I wanted to read for you one poem here. It's called Love by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. It says, Dreaming of love, the ardent mind of youth conceives it one with passion's brief delights, with keen desire and rapture. But in truth, these are but milestones to sublime heights, after the highway swept by strong emotions, where wild winds blow and blazing rays beat, after the billows of tempestuous oceans, fair mountain summits wait the lover's feet. The path is narrow, but the view is wide, and beauteous the outlook toward the west. Happy are they who walk there side by side, leaving below the valleys of unrest, and on the radiant altitudes above know the serene intensity of love. All right, beautiful. Love that poem so much. So let us start today with our Ganapati oracle. Ganapati Ganesha is that divine child, the Lord of beginnings, guardian of the threshold, and the master of spirits, the Ganas. And we ask them to send us a message through the text, through the card, and to ensure that our words are heard by those who need to hear them. So, Lord Ganapati, what is the message? Guidance. Guidance. Beautiful. Seeking that guidance, looking and recognizing that one needs to expand their perspective in order to truly embrace reason. Seeking help, right? Seeking that profound knowledge that wisdom brings, understanding that the key to this kind of guidance is learning first to accept that we have to broaden our perspective in order to truly understand or see whatever is in front of us. And that we can only truly broaden that perspective through communication and engagement with others, through the sharing of perspectives. Right? So that guidance, you seek that guide and you seek it from everything. Right? This is part of the parcel of that use of reason. You find the guide in the self. You find the guide in the muse. You find the guide in your intuition. You find the guide in the nature around you, in the synchronicities, and in the beautiful, loving people, right? In the great, profound literature and books, in the experience of knowledge, in the sharing of perspectives. Beautiful. Right? Seek guidance. And you can find it everywhere, from the self to the natural world around you. All right. We're now going to go to our sortes, and we're going to start with Euripides, 10 plays. But for those of you unaware, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is divination through literature. And it comes to us from the Greco-Roman tradition. And we invoke the goddesses of inspiration, the divine muses, and we ask them to send us a message through the text. So, muses, what is the inspiring message from Euripides? All right, inspire us. Destroyed by the ill will of the gods from that hour when your infant son escaped death, the son who, for a wicked woman, destroyed the towers of Troy. Before the temple of Pallas, the bloody bodies of our dead exposed for the vultures to harry. The end has come, and the yoke of slavery for Troy. Wow. The tragedies of that war, and recognizing the fallout and what comes after that destruction. These things are not glorious. Often so much people make big things about how the literature speaks of the heroes like Achilles and how their song will be sung forever and they've achieved immortality through being sung in the Homeric epics. And when people talk like that, I go, you haven't fully embraced the Homeric epics, have you? There's a lot more tragedy here. There's a lot more reality here. There's a lot more depth. That it's not just about glory. This is about life, right? And this shows you the darkness that possession and greed brings. When presented with that beauty, that profound, loving goddess herself, Helen, the world went crazy and had to possess her. And it's that desire for that beauty, that woman objectified and reduced, that led to countless destruction, untold deaths, and slavery. Right? And then if you engage with the tradition, even after the fall of the war, we then have the Oresteia. That cycle of violence continues, tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat. As Iphigenia dies, then Agamemnon dies, then Clytemnestra dies, then the Eumenides are there to come and take poor Orestes, but thankfully Athena calms the situation. And she calms it by taking the hit and by telling everyone to sit down, literally sit down, and let's set up proper courts of law. Come in at the temple and have a feast together, and let's work this out. You know, you have to recognize the tragedy of these things. You have to see the full fallout of what it means. When we talk about engaging in war, when we talk about extreme acts, let's just kick 15 million people out the country. What do you think that will mean? Let's just, go to war with Russia. What the hell would that mean? Like, I'm not one to talk geopolitics. I don't mean to get into this too deep. I just want to say, like, be careful what we wish for. War and revolution are very scary things. It's an intense time. All right. Shah, Don Juan in hell. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Don Juan? Inspire us this evening. The plague, the famine, the earthquake, the tempests were too spasmodic in their action. The tiger and crocodile were too easily satiated and not cruel enough. Something more constantly, more ruthlessly, more ingeniously destructive was needed. And that something was man, the inventor of the rack, the stake, the gallows, the electric chair, of sword and gun and poison gas, above all of justice, duty, patriotism, and all the other isms by which those who are clever enough to be humanely disposed are persuaded to become the most destructive of all destroyers. Wow. Now this is quite the rebuke. And truer words, beautiful words. Think about this. The universe demanded something more destructive, and that thing was man. And above all, our cruelty stems from what? Duty, patriotism, justice, and all other isms, by which even those who are clever enough to be humanely disposed are persuaded to become the most destructive of all destroyers. When you sacrifice your reason and your individuality for the sake of ideology, when you bind your morality to a code, you cannot move beyond the limitations of these things. You sell yourself to an egregore. All right, let's continue. It's a weird, dark sorte so far. Okay. Egyptian Tarot of Thelema by Oliver St. John. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message? Inspire us. The two fours symbolize the initiation and the fecundation. The fecundation. Wow. The fecundation of a thing. The 4 twos symbolize the initiation and fecundation of a thing. So the essence of the 2 is that initiation of engagement, right? When the 1 is now moving into a confrontation with that other, and then there is an unveiling and a gaining of a new perception, right? And there is ability to combine and to create something greater, to expand. that perspective, to create something new, right? So you have within the two that power of the birth and that power of the unveiling of knowledge. But you also have the power of that expounding force. Really makes me think of the Two of Wands, dominion, right? Which is that fiery, passionate energy of the wands in its purest, rawest form, before it has been directed, before you've set it on that course of love or set it on that course of violence. And they're two sides of the same coin, right? Let us continue. We're now going to go to the poems of W.B. Yeats. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Yeats? Inspire us. And thus declared that Arab lady last night, where under the wild moon on grassy mattress I had laid me, within my arms, great Solomon. I suddenly cried out in a strange tongue, not his, not mine. Who understood whatever has been sighed, sung, howled, meowed, barked, brayed, belled, yelled, cried, or crowed, thereon replied. A cockerel crew from a blossoming apple bough, 300 years before the fall, and never crew again till now. And would not now but that he thought chance being at one with choice at last. All that the brigand apple brought, and this foul world were dead at last. Wow, we're getting the rights on full display. And thus declared that Arab lady last night, were under the wild moon on grassy mattress I had laid me, within my arms, great Solomon. The magician and the priestess uniting under the moon, the alchemical wedding on full display. I suddenly cried out in a strange tongue, not his, not mine. Who understood whatever has been said, sighed, and sung? Sung the songs of Orpheus, the language of the birds and animals. Howled, meowed, barked, brayed, belled, yelled, cried, and crowed. Right? The dragon tongue reveals the language of the animals and the birds. Thereon replied a cockerel crew from blossoming apple bough, 300 years before the fall. A cockerel crew from the blossoming apple bough, 300 years before the fall. And the cycles repeat well beyond our limited understanding, and they're far greater than our stories that we have been given. And never crew again till now, and would not now but that he thought chance being at one with choice at last. All that the brigand, the pirate apple brought, and this foul world were dead at last. Pandora's box, ushering that conflict, that exponential wildness that has now set the cycle and that must eventually end in death. But remember, death is not an end. Death is a rebirth and a recycling. Let us continue. We are now going to go to the underworld. Before I do, though, let's take a moment and just, send a blessing to all those who are hurting from the Hurricane Helene. And I wish all of you in the chat the best. And I'm sending all the love. And let's ask the muses to guide and to protect those who need it. And recognize that we're all in this together. And that our thoughts can really impact the world. So send that blessing. Engage in that loving action. It is meaningful. All right, let's continue. Underworld by the Sepulture Society. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Underworld? In many traditions, he is also connected with the soil and the material riches of the subterranean. He is a giver of riches and wealth, and may as well receive sacrifices to facilitate a good harvest, even though he is not usually an agricultural deity. We're talking about Lord Saturn Kronos, right? That Plutus, exactly, right? Beautiful, intense energy, that underworld energy, that great recycler energy. You know, Saturn is a tough energy to confront. A lot of people have a deep issue with it, that authoritarian force that must be overcome, that must be understood, right? That very, right? The issue with Saturn is it's so terrifying, and it is that thing that has been vilified. It has been put into that place where we do not look and refuse to engage with. And we have reduced and twisted this image into something far worse than it ever was. The truth of Saturn is far more complex. And while on one hand, he is that reaper, he does become that tyrannical force. He is also that great liberator, the one who brings the golden age, the one who manifests equality. Look to the Saturnalia and you'll see the truth. Saturn is Santa Claus, like literally. During the Saturnalia, he would be unbound from his woolen chains draped in red, and they'd unbind him from the wool so that he could come and bestow gifts of feast upon the people. And he would upset the balance where all of a sudden children and women would be risen to the status of equals and kings would be placed down below. And they would have to serve those who once served, right? There's so much going on with all of this stuff, and understanding that these energies have cycles and duality, right? That Saturnian force on one hand is that reaper, that destructive force that will consume its children, that tyrannical force of unchanging passion. But it is also that great recycler, that bringer of change and equality, that bestower of knowledge, right? The one who has gone to the depths of his self and been made to reflect. You know, what happens when you go to Erebus and you are punished? What has Saturn been doing for 10,000 years? Not brooding in anger as some would have you believe. All right, let us continue. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from cosmogonic Eros? Erotic, self-completing ecstasy is never idiopatic, but it is without exception sympathetic. Sympathetic. It is magic that asks, that erotic nature. It's all about likeness and striving for that togetherness and that unity, that sympathy, right? There is no room for individuality or singular perspective in the erotic, in the aesthetic practices, right? There is a unity that can be experienced, but it is not. Part of the misconception is that people take that unity and reduce it to a oneness, an absolute, undistinguishable oneness. But we know from certain scholars like Abhinavagupta, right? We have that many and the one. Shiva has to go through these cycles. He has to understand the unity, and then he has to reassert the individuality. Right? To truly love something, you must recognize it in its individuality and give it grace, right? We're now going to go to book 4 by Aleister Crowley. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Crowley? Inspire us. Strike, strike the master chord. Draw, draw the flaming sword. Crowned child and conquering lord. Horus, Avenger. Beautiful. Strike, strike the master chord. Ring out that vibration. The spanda. Draw, draw the flaming sword. You can see so much the parallels between this Horus and Shiva, and with that Bromius as well, right? Crowned child and conquering lord. Dionysus is that general, and also that Sabazius, right? That Zagreus. Horus, avenger. And also Horus is that divine child, right? He is the Harpocrates, the one who is born in the silence, the combination of forms, the manifestation of the divine androgyne on earth, the new cycle that takes into account the masculine and the feminine in balance. Interesting. Let us continue. We're going to go to Federico Garcia Lorca, Three Tragedies. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Lorca? Don't get in the way of your son's happiness. Don't say anything to him. You're old and so am I. It's time for you and me to keep quiet. Now that is a lesson that Saturn should have learned himself. You know, we shouldn't pass judgment on those who are different than us, right? Don't get in the way of other people's happiness. Don't try to assert your vision of the future upon others, right? We all do it out of fear. There's this tendency for some to try to turn their children into themselves, right? Or to achieve their self-fulfillment through their children. No, you don't do that. You achieve fulfillment on your own. And you inspire your children to achieve their own fulfillment. And you are proud and you are happy when they find happiness. Right? The other day, okay, I love a lot of music and I love reading music journalism. And I was reading this interview with, I'm not going to say the musician because you'll all despise them, but they're a very famous musician. And they were saying that the hardest thing in their life was recognizing that their son was becoming bigger than they are and was going to surpass them. And I'm like, that's what upsets you? I'm like, that's like the greatest joy imaginable. What is wrong with you? I was just, whoa. What? You know, weird energy to not want the best, right? To feel overshadowed. You are your own. And if they overshadow you, that's a beautiful thing. Okay, let us continue. We're going to go now to our tarot proper. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, you can reach out to me, snappydbts@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Myth and Lore Discord, Snappy or Lady Snappy. And we're going to use the Thoth Tarot of Aleister Crowley and Lady Frida Harris. And we are going to invoke Saturn Kronos and ask them to dissect our life, to cut it up and put it on a plate, to expose our present, to show us how do we rise above the conflicts, how do we evolve, and how do we learn to manifest our true will. And as always, the center card is our most important. And today's center is the Ace of Discs. New beginnings in that physical world. Starting from the beginning. This is powerful, intense energy, right? The key with this kind of an energy is to recognize that it is cyclical and to recognize that in the beginning is the reflection of the ending. And if you are going to begin this tower, you must manifest it to completion. You must envision that ending, at least partially. You have to see the projected image in the base beginning in order to create that tower, right? So this is where we start with an idea, with a stone. Where are we going? Oh, wow. Not just one beginning where we are building. Could be a new job, could be moving to a new home, could be moving places, a new physical thing. This is the beginning of new relationships, new connections in the present, the sharing of that cup, the coming together, right? In that reciprocal flow. Beautiful, beautiful energy. And again, you want to imagine where this is going. The community and the love and the friends, the relationships that you will have, the people you're going to engage with and how you will engage with them. Where's that going? Prince of Wands. Intense energy. You know, this is a showing up as that inspired, youthful person, that one that desires to go out into the world and pursue that fiery passion with the fullness of our being. But we lack experience. We lack reason. We have all of this ability, but nowhere to direct it to. The prince is that perfect example of the one without that mental focus, right? Without the ability to project into the future. They're just beginning. They need to refine this image. They need to take responsibility. You know, the difference between the prince and the knight is that the prince fights for the prince, and the knight protects the princess, fights for the queen, right? Fights for country, fights for something. The prince, though, the prince is in that selfish energy, youthful energy, innocent energy, but selfish, right? Let's continue. Where is it going? The key to all of this is work, right? We need to be in that mode of building. To truly engage and to be able to manifest the tower, we have to be that one who builds, that one that creates, that one that has the strength to manifest. What are we working towards? And the lover appears. The signifier of our reading is now in our reading, that alchemical wedding. And we must strive and work towards this. Remember the poem I read by Eloisa Wilcox and recognize that that loving connection is an unfolding across time. You don't just know the other. You don't just know the self. You don't just come together in harmony. There is a passionate struggle. It's a rewarding struggle, and it is a broadening of perspective. It is an incorporating of the other, right? An incorporation and an expansion through that process of creation, through engagement and building, through the sharing, through the creating of the tower, right? We have to do that work, though. Recognize that love is a work in progress always, right? You must chase after that lover as Bacchus chases after Venus, right? As Krishna and Radha ever strive for each other in spite of the distance. Wow. What do we need to do? We need to get out of this mode, that immature mode, that one who's pursuing passion and fire. And instead, we want to be that mature Knight of Cups, the one that pursues flow in harmony, the one that pursues connection with others, that has love and is willing to give and receive in equal flowing harmony. And it is this night that through that work will manifest that love. We'll be able to come together and share in that reciprocal flow and begin this process that requires that hard work, right? Let's continue. Wow. This is powerful, powerful energy, because what we see here with the Hierophant is that Taurus in Venus, This is Hera, Juno, Hathor, right? It's that energy of the goddess on the earth, that traditional way, that unfolding across the generations, that long, slow moving energy of procreation, of generation, of love, right? And that goddess energy, right? It wants to bring you together in those marriage bonds, right? When I see this card, often it signifies, especially with this, it signifies marriage. It signifies a partnership, right? It signifies that this is could also be a business. It could be a marriage or a business, but there is something serious here that requires that legal framework, that requires that building of something greater than the selves, right? Wow. Let's continue. We must don our armor, don our armor, and have the strength to pursue that love, to pursue that strophilos, that thing that inspires us, that love that drives us, right? And when we are in that chariot energy, we can connect and we can move and embrace this Hathor, right? That Hera. We can see the pattern and we can unfold our Dharma, right? The chariot is also about taking responsibility, about recognizing one's purpose and one's place, in a sense, the work that must be done. You know, we all have the freedom to choose. We can do whatever we want, but the chariot sees the responsibility and takes it, right? Arjuna goes to battle against his family because that is his dharma. Wow. And this is the completion of a cycle. This is the coming together for what is the lovers resulting in? It's resulting in the creation of that great mother and the rebirth of a new cycle. This is beyond beautiful. We've skipped the art card and gone right to the end. The alchemical wedding realized. This is where it's all going towards, the creation of the divine androgyne and the new cycle of generation, that new egg. Wow. That's such beautiful energy. The Kori reborn. All right, let's flip and take a full look. But before I do, please, once again, give me a like and a subscribe. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, reach out, snappydts@gmail.com, or find me on the Myth and Lore Discord. All right, here we go. So here is our full spread. Oh, sorry. Let's start here. The key to all of this is we have to be able to embrace that love. We must be in the pursuit of that love. We must have our cup and be willing to share it in reciprocal flow, right? This is the beginning. Imagining that process of engaging with that other, of being in love. What is your ideal partner? Who are you looking for? What are you trying to manifest? What is the result of this? Where are you going, right? The chariot knows what that love looks like. The chariot pursues that image, right? And if you have that strength and you can be in that reciprocal flowing energy, willing to begin and willing to imagine it, that love will manifest. That partner will come. Beautiful. Wow. Let's start here. Ace of Discs. That new beginning, the new building, the new creation, right? This is all about learning to embody that energy of that great mother, right? That long-term Hera flowing energy across time, right? That profound, long energy, right? And doing the work to manifest it, right? It's also about building in the earth, building that weave, unfolding that power, coming together in marriage, coming together in legal partnership, binding, swearing oaths, projecting long-term in the future, but in that truly intense, magical way, right? And that's what this is about, right? When we see that hierophantic energy in the work, like This energy is also cyclical. This is long time coming. You know, this is where we're meant to be going. Now we'll do here. Yeah. This energy of that immature, that selfish prince, that one who just pursues their passions for their own sake, who wishes for more but does not have the strength of character to do it, that energy is coming to an end, right? That cycle is ending, and we are being reborn as that Knight of Cups, right? We are refining ourselves. We are taking that passionate energy and we are directing it in a new way towards that loving cup, towards that flow and that harmony, that great mother energy, that love energy, right? And as we move there, we become that mature, outgoing knight, the one that has love to give and to receive, an equal flow, and harmonious passion. Wow, beautiful. Now let's look at our crosses, right? The knight is the one who has the strength to take responsibility and to move towards our desire. And the doing of this will manifest and build the tower. That's how the tower begins. That's how this new creation begins. It's about, first you must become that pursuer of love. And then you must don the armor and do the hard work necessary. Take responsibility, right? Recognize where you're meant to go and go, right? And then our last one, the lovers here, connecting in this love and creation. We complete the cycle of the tower. We complete the cycle of creation. We connect to that great mother and we give birth to the new. This is as beautiful as the tarot can get in this instance. Coming together for the completion of the path and the manifestation of the tower. It's just so incredible. That's beautiful. Wow. Recognize this love, people. Recognize this moment and this potential here. Do the work, right? Pursue that harmony. Don your armor and take responsibility. Be that mature one who can go out and pursue love. Let go of that selfishness and that fiery passion that's not serving you. And instead, do the work to build that tower, to connect in that partnership, in that bind for the purposes of this creation. Love it. So beautiful. All right, everyone, that is the reading. I hope it resonated with you. It certainly resonated with me. We're going to do one final sortes and then we will call it an evening. All right. Here we go. Lorca, 3 tragedies. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Lorca? Inspire us. If you come to the pilgrimage to pray your womb may flower, don't wear a mourning veil, but a gown of fine Dutch linen. Walk alone along the walls where fig trees thickest grow, and bear my earthly body until the white dawn wails. Ah, how she shines, how she was shining, ah, how sad wife sways. That's the alchemical wedding. That is the art, and that is creation, all in one. I'll read it for you one time more. And it's for those with ears to hear, but you'll see. If you come to the pilgrimage to pray your womb may flower, don't wear a mourning veil, but a gown of fine Dutch linen. Walk alone along the trees where fig trees grow, and bear my earthly body until the white dawn wails. Ah, how she shines. Ah, how the wife sways. All right, everyone. Peace and love. And until tomorrow, I hope I see you again for more live tarot and sortes. Take care.